Hi guys, Hannah here at Punksteading. We're hanging out in my garage today because I wanted to show you the newest addition to my household, and it is my beautiful compost bin. I am very excited about this. I've wanted to compost for a really long time, but felt that I haven't had the space. Again, the basement apartment in the city just didn't really have a lot of extra space to do what I wanted to do, and I'm sure with a little bit of effort I could have figured out a way, but because I have a garage space, I feel that I can do this much more efficiently where I'm at. So I wanted compost for I guess the simple reason of having fresh compost. It is a natural feeder to any soil that you're trying to grow plants in, and my raised beds here really need all the help they can get. That soil hasn't been touched in years, so it's super tough and not fertile or anything like that. So it's the end of December now. Hopefully I'll have some nice compost by springtime, and that'll help out the soil once I put those initial seeds in the ground. I'm also planning on doing an herb garden in the spring, so I want to fill a couple totes with fresh potting soil and some compost to help those herbs get started off right. Two things went into me deciding what compost bin I wanted. There are dozens of varieties out there. You can go really expensive to like extremely cheap like I did. And the expensive ones definitely have their benefits. You can get really nice compost really quickly. There's one I looked at, and it was kind of like a barrel sitting on top of the ground, and you would crank it, and that's kind of how you would aerate it. Those are all really nice compost bins, and if you have the means, definitely check them out. But I personally could not spend $500 on a compost bin that I could build myself. So I built one myself. I also wanted my bin to be mobile. Like I said, I am renting and I'm planning on buying property someday. That's going to be years down the road, but I did want it to be mobile just in case I had to pick up and move. Life, you never know what happens in life, so if I needed to vacate the premises tomorrow, I could bring my wormies and I wouldn't have to worry about starting over. So let's talk about my how-to on these bins. They're just two plastic totes from Walmart. I got them for 10 bucks. 1, 2. The inner one has holes in the top, drilled by my lovely partner. That's why there's a little heart on it. But you could have as many holes as you want in the top. Good airflow is really important in a compost bin, so you can have as many holes as you want on the top. And then there are a few on the side here. Let me pick it up and show it. Oh, come on. I'll take off the lid, but it's easier. Yep. Yeah, there we go. So there are those holes on the side. We didn't go further than about 3 inches down, just because this is where the wormies live. We didn't want any moisture leaking out. We didn't want any compost falling out. And we didn't want our wormies to find those holes and escape. So just making them higher up on the side is kind of a little saving grace for your wormies. And those holes are all around the sides, not just on one, but all around. And then on the inside tote, we've got 8 drainage holes on the very bottom. So there's one on each corner and one in the middle of each side. So not too many holes on the bottom. Again, you don't want your wormies to escape and you don't want any compost to start falling out. But we did want a few drainage holes just because this is my first time composting, and I didn't want my compost to get super moist and anaerobic and gross with lack of airflow in there without the ability to drain. The outer bin simply serves as a purpose of catching anything that drains out. Again, I'm in a garage. We have some carpet in here, for I don't really know what reason, but I don't really want to clean up worm compost drainage off of a rug. So I just put the holy bin inside a non-holy bin to catch any of the drainage off of the compost. And that was my setup. It took 15 minutes to make. It was super simple. All right, so that was the bins themselves, but the next step is how to set up your bedding for your worms. So what I did, and again, there's many different ways to do this, do your own research, I'm just telling you what I did. I took about 4 newspapers and shredded them myself and stuffed them in the bottom. That serves as bedding for your worms, but also helps in drainage should you get any excess moisture at the bottom right there. And because I had access to sawdust, again, we have horses out there and sawdust is their bedding for their stalls. I dumped a big mixing bowl full of sawdust on top of that newspaper. If you don't have any sawdust, you can continue shredding newspapers. That's just fine. After the sawdust, I put a healthy layer of potting soil in there. Please use organic. You don't want any like Miracle-Gro chemical-y stuff in your potting soil that could mess with your wormies' health. So just get organic if you can, or just dig out some dirt in your yard if you don't use any chemicals on your yard. Dirt from your yard works just fine. So I did, I don't know, about a layer of newspaper, layer of sawdust, and then, I don't know, right here, a layer of potting soil. A nice healthy layer of potting soil. After that, all I did was throw a little bit of food scraps in there about like minutes before I dumped my worms in there. You don't want food scraps sitting there and then not get worms for a week because it's gonna mold and get stinky. But I threw some food scraps in there as soon as my worms arrived, and then I put my worms in there. And you can get your worms anywhere. I prefer red wigglers. Night crawlers are another option, but they can get pretty fierce and vicious with one another. Red wigglers are just way more peaceful worms to one another, so I got them. And I got them from Uncle Jim's Worm Farm. I heard a lot of good reviews, and I probably could have sourced local, but that's the #1 composting worms I've heard of, so I decided to just go with Uncle Jim's. I got 500 worms for like $40. It was not expensive at all. And they came in a little mesh bag full of peat moss, and I just dumped my wormies in here. I was going to do an initial, oh my gosh, look, my worms arrived, and you know, like a release video of the worms into the compost, but it was so cold here, and it's so cold across the country, that when I dumped them in, they all looked dead. They were just so cold. Not only that, when I tried to do that video, I was so excited that my worms got here that I tried to say 5 things at once, and hi babe, I'm doing a video.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You gonna be ready to go in like 5 minutes?
In like 5 minutes, yes. I was so excited, I tried to say 5 things at once, and I forgot the other half of things I wanted to say, so we scrapped that video. We're doing this one. They've already been chilling for 2 days in my wormy bin, and we'll see how they're doing. It's still super cold outside. They are a little bit slow, but I'll see if we can see any. Yeah, so there's my food scraps. And every day I'm just gonna take this trowel here and turn over the compost. Oh, I see one moving. There really are few and far between in here. They're still cold. And it doesn't smell gross at all. Oh, there's one. There's a little red wiggly guy right there. It smells like really, really nice dirt, and that's how you can kind of tell that your compost is healthy. If it smells really gross, then you're probably not doing something right. But if it smells nice and like really fresh soil, then you're doing fine. So that's the compost pile. We'll see how it goes, and I'll do an update video in maybe a couple months. If you want to learn more about how I decided or how I set up my compost pile, compost bin with pictures and stuff, check out my blog in the description below. It's got pictures and a step-by-step how-to. Bye guys.